I started Dolce Diet Principles when I was 24 and now I'm 30. So I'm 6 years in and can say without a doubt that it's changed my entire life.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. Today, we have 4 of our certified coaches, DDCs, Dolce Diet Certified Coaches, on the Mike Dolce Show podcast. Each one comes from a very diverse background, but their stories are extremely interesting, and there's lots of good takeaways that I think you guys will enjoy. So, watch.
What's up? How's it going, man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty tired. Just came back from working out, so you know.
Awesome. A little humble brag there. That's all right. We'll take it.
Slight brag.
Nice. Cool. Good to see you. And Stacy's on. Can you see everybody? I'm curious how your screens look.
I only see you, which is not a bad look. I just don't know where else.
I heard that.
Hey, Stacy, how's it going?
Hey, I think what is happening on my phone is whenever Dan's talking, it's like Dan's like big face. And then when Dan's quiet, it goes back to like Mike big face.
All right. Big face. All right. Who else? We're waiting for Derek Varon. He's going to be popping in. And then Kenny Schaefer should be popping in too. So hopefully they are checking their email addresses. They should be able to get on here in a minute. But it's good to catch up with you guys. And let's just see. Kenny just got it. No link yet. Okay. So Kenny's popping on right now. He just hit me on Facebook. And right on, man. So good to see everybody. And as everyone pops in, we will continue the conversation. So, we're recording right now. So we are live. Be careful for anything that you might say because it will be held against you in the public of social media, the consensus of social media, right? Kenny. Hello? Because I'm seeing all Kenny right now, but no conversation.
I can hear you now.
There he is. What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Too much. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Likewise. Good to see you. What you got behind you? Is that your reptile sanctuary?
Yeah, that is George's cage behind me. He's our iguana.
Wow. And how many do you have right now?
Reptiles?
Yes.
Too many to count. I think we're in the neighborhood of like 20 at the moment.
All in one house, one living space.
Yeah, the snakes are relatively small. Their cages all kind of stack on top of each other, almost like a bookshelf.
Okay. Damn, man, that's a different passion. And I got to ask you, what do you get out of the reptile care, that you're in? Because you have, reptiles in your home, domesticated, if you will, as much as can be. I'm just kind of outside of that sphere. So I'm curious, what type of engagement do you receive in return? Is it kind of like a dog or a cat where you get some, affection and they recognize you and they kind of come over and say hi?
It's definitely not the same bond as like a dog or a cat per se. They're a lot of fun, I guess is like the biggest side of it. And aesthetically, they're pretty and they're cool to look at.
Yep.
They all kind of have their own temperament, especially like when you get to the lizards. The lizards are definitely a bit more affectionate. One of our lizards is going to grow to be about 30 pounds or so, but they're kind of considered the puppy dog of the reptile world. So they'll actually come out and greet you when you get home and they want to get out of their cage and come sit in your lap and hang out. So those guys are pretty cool. The snakes are a little more just aesthetic pleasure. They're fun to hang out with, and they get a bad reputation. So it's neat to get to introduce people in the community to them, and little education and pieces of that nature.
And what kind of snakes do you have?
We have all boa constrictors minus 2 snakes, but most of them are boa constrictors. So the biggest they'll get, the females might cap out at 10 or 12 feet, but they don't get real heavy bodied, so they're going to be 20 to 25 pounds at the most.
Wow.
And then we have a green tree python, and she's maybe 3.5, 4 feet. She's pretty small and doesn't need a large enclosure, and she's bright neon green, looks really cool. And then we have a reticulated python who will eventually need his own bedroom. They get really large. His mom is like 22 feet and 180 pounds.
Holy.
So they are eventually a very large animal.
And will you keep that for their entire life? Is that the plan right now?
That's the plan. Yeah, bring them along with us and take some trips.
Wow, that's insane.
Yep. And it's cool too. So we breed the boa constrictors, so they also offer their own little side hustle revenue, if you will.
Yeah.
So once a year or so we go to a reptile show, and we bring the babies that we've produced, and you sit and educate people and hope to find them new homes.
What do they sell for, to be curious?
They start anywhere from about $100, and then depends on when you want to stop spending money. There's not really an upper limit when you start getting into like these wild genetics that a lot of guys get into.
Sure.
There were a few snakes at this last show that were going for $10,000 and $15,000.
Wow.
Which is crazy to me. I'd never spend that much money on an animal, but there's a lot of time and selective breeding that goes into it. And when these guys are that deep into the hobby, it's what they're willing to pay for.
Yeah, and it's an industry. It's a pretty big industry from an economic perspective. And then there's also a I don't want to say niche, but there's a percentage of the population like yourself that are just really into it for whatever the allure is, and everyone has their own reason to be. I know one guy, he loves it. He's like, yeah, I mean, they're cool and all, but he's in it really more for the money, and he takes great care. I mean, he like built a whole like sanctuary for all of them and breeds them and spends hours a day out there and kind of the whole thing.
That's cool.
Pretty crazy, right? He's a Florida dude.
Yeah, that's probably where my passion really started with reptiles, because I'm a Florida kid, and I grew up in the swamp chasing anything that I could catch. So that's probably realistically where my interest in them came from.
That makes sense that you're so open to them, where someone like myself, I didn't grow up around it. I wasn't exposed to it. It's not very common here in New Jersey for the most part, living on the beach, right? You don't really see
sure.
I mean, a couple garter snakes here and there, but that's really about it. Interesting. Well, I know, and that's obviously not what you do, but I was just so curious, and I see George walking around in the background. So I wanted to have that conversation. We also have Stacy Blythe on the line. Stacy, what's up, young lady? How are you?
Hey, everyone. Great. Sorry if you can't really see me. I'm kind of inside home office area.
No, see you great, actually. And I control the cameras here. So now it is all Stacy.
Ooh,
the guy little in the background. So where are you now?
So I'm currently up in Milwaukee. I actually live 300 feet from the door to Rufus Sport Gym.
Nice.
I bought a house directly behind the gym in order to be able to go over there and train and spend a lot of time there. I am inside my house right now. I have I don't even know if you can see anything going on here, but I have 2 businesses now, and so I spend a whole lot of time doing stuff between both of the businesses. So I turned this whole room into what I do and where I spend my time. So morning, daytime. Morning, I go do lists every morning, come back here, do my work, go over to the gym and train, and go to bed.
So busy day. You've always been a busy lady. Ever since I met you, you've been out there, you've been hustling, you've been just busting your tail really in so many different forms. So what are your primary businesses right now that you're running?
So since the last time I saw you, I don't want to say quit doing therapy, because that's not the case. I still do like PRN work here and there for therapy, and I am not necessarily a fan of where like insurance rooms are going. So I kind of switched gears a little bit in terms of I'm now personal trainer, sports performance specialist, fitness nutrition, weight management, and functional training. So one of my primary businesses I'm kind of shamelessly representing right now is Unparalleled Greatness, and I help kind of with athletic performance in terms of fighters meeting their weight, different kind of mobilization techniques to try to get them to improve their overall well-being. And then my other business is completely a gear switch to I'm kind of obsessed with my little mutt dog, and I make bow ties and bandanas for dog collars, and actually Wednesday I get into my 3rd retail spot.
Oh wow, good for you. How awesome
Dude,
is that?
that's super cool.
Yeah.
It's like really fast, because it's like I've always been, I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm kind of like, rah, like all the time. Like I have to go, and I just want to like learn and do more and do more. And Mike talks sometimes about like burning the boats so that you have to succeed, or that's it. And I think that's kind of my whole mentality is like, I come from having no electricity at certain points and having to get rid of things that I liked because I couldn't afford them. I come from like living in a truck and sleeping in a Walmart parking lot inside the truck, showering in a gas station bathroom. So
and when was that?
What year was
that you were living that? What year were you living that lifestyle?
When I was getting my 2nd degree, so I would have been 23. That would have been like 7 years ago.
Okay.
So 7 years ago, I was in a truck trying to get through. Then the last time I lost my electricity was probably 2015. I started Dolce Diet Principles when I was 24, and now I'm 30. So I'm 6 years in and can say without a doubt that it's changed my entire life, my entire mindset. And now I just am like constantly on the move to improving and building more.
That's right. And we met, is it in 2015 you came to Vegas for that DDC, the July DDC? Was that 15?
16, I think.
16. Okay. I was
16 because that was when I was with you too.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
16. It was July 7th of 2016. So I actually started the Dolce Diet on my 24th birthday. And that's kind of why, like, I don't even really count birthdays anymore. I count like, oh my gosh, it's my anniversary. So I didn't really turn 30. I turned 6 years on Dolce Diet. So
I love it.
Yeah, I'm not 30. I'm 6 years Dolce, guys.
Right on. And Derek, I see you here. We're going to jump over to you in a minute, brother. Welcome. But it's Stacy. So you've been 6 years on Dolce Diet, and I've used your before and after photos many times because you really do highlight what is possible when you have that internal drive. And what I say is what we do here at the Dolce Diet, we offer a roadmap, if you will, but we don't take credit for the journey. There's so many people out there that they have access to information, and whether it's the Dolce Diet or whether it's just chicken and broccoli and going for a walk, right? We say people know what to do, and even more so, they know what not to do. But your journey was very spectacular because you decided you had hit a point in your life that it was time to make a change. And if I will, you were at a place physically. I mean, you look at you right now, you're super fit. You say you're 30 years old. You look like you're 21 years old, which is a huge compliment to you. I don't want to be like sensitive to the PC culture, but you look amazing. You work your ass off. You're running multiple businesses. You busted your tail getting all your education. You went through extreme hardship and sacrifice to achieve. Now you bought a house that is 300 feet away from the facility with which you wanted to train. So you've completely manifested this lifestyle for yourself. But where were you? Go ahead.
I kind of like to add to that some people know and some really don't. If you haven't talked to me or kind of followed for a long time what I do, when I started the Dolce Diet, I was actually like medically classified as disabled. So, I mean, it was like when I was in college getting my second degree, when I had the truck I was living in, I could not walk from the parking lot into my classes without being winded. I could not do it. I had a handicap sticker from a doctor inside my car just to be able to go to college. So even, becoming a physical therapy assistant for 8 years now, at that time, from my surgeries and from my diagnosis and everything else that I had been kind of given was that doctors were saying, like, you're never going to do this. You're never going to walk. You're never going to run. You're never going to do sports. You have to stop. And that's kind of what put me where I was at. When I heard, sorry if this offends you, Mike, when I heard you talking on Sirius XM, I was like, this is stupid. Like, I was like, you were talking about quinoa.
Like my wife.
It was like, I mean, you started talking about quinoa and somebody is like, I don't like quinoa. And you're like, don't talk about that. It's like how you cook it. And I'm like, I'm a redneck. I don't know tropical foods. I grew up on Hamburger Helper and Spam. Yeah. And so like quinoa, that's not tropical. I had no clue whatsoever, like zero actual understanding of what was going on. And I had accepted that I am disabled and that I'm going to be this way forever. And then I heard Mike talking on my 24th birthday and I was like, I'm going to prove that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And here I am 6 years later with literally an entirely different life. Wow. So thank you, Mike.
Absolutely. And thank you. And we'll get back to you and your story, which is amazing. I just want to drill down deeper. So we got Dan Kuda on here. Dan, what's up, brother?
Not much, Mike. How's it going, man?
It's wonderful, man. It's good to see you. I mean, we chat on social media and follow each other and all that fun stuff like we do with all the coaches. So it's good to finally get on and catch up. What have you been up to since 2016 when you first came out for that Dolce Diet certification course?
Jesus. Honestly, a lot. Like at that time I was in my, I think, it would be my third year of university, so I was just finishing up my kitten and kinesiology degree.
Yep.
But fast forward to now, just honestly, I'm working 2 jobs, one of which is at a gym. The other is just a supply teacher, just making sure I just kind of network that way too.
Yep.
And then I'm going to release online coaching as well. So that's 3 things I'm really doing right now. So just a lot of stuff. And yeah, honestly, just a lot of stuff and just living the lifestyle, helping as many people as I can try at least, if I can promote it and preach it as much as I can. That's pretty much all I've been doing for the last like 2 years or so.
And what's interesting about you also is that your social media, your Instagram account is blowing up. You got what, 50 some odd thousand followers right now? Or is it more than that even?
I just hit 86,000 this morning. Yeah.
Jesus, the last time I saw it feels like yesterday you were in the 50,000s. Now you're in the 80,000s. That was, I mean, have had 1,000 followers, let's say, not that long ago, 2 years or so ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think I started this whole thing March of 2018. I think started to actually like, I want to do a fitness page. I want to promote the principles, promote a healthier lifestyle. Because I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of fitness pages out there that are just very, for lack of a better word, they're crap. They're just they promote awful things, and they just, I don't know. It's just I feel like if I, based on the lifestyle that I live now from you and just living the principles, there's a better way to do it. And I think, March 2018 or February 2018, something like that, somewhere around there, early 2018 is where I started. And fast forward to now, I woke up with 86,000 this morning, which was super cool for me. So yeah.
So you're growing. I mean, you're growing rapidly right now because literally I looked at it and it feels like, man, it feels like a couple days, if not a couple weeks ago, and you're in the 50s. So, and whatever, I'm a little dense sometimes, but you're growing. I mean, thousands, tens of thousands of new followers per month. What would you credit that to for those listening right now and different? Because we have what I love about the Mike Dolce show is that we have such a wide interest in our audience. We get the MMA fans, but we get the health and fitness fans. We get lots of entrepreneurs and business owners and families. So we get this big wide audience of people they're just trying to do better. And I use the analogy that we're all in our little kayaks, all by ourselves, but we're all rowing in that same direction. And we look across to each other for inspiration, right? That's really what it is. We're here rowing. I got to do all the work myself, but I can look over to Dan over there like, man, he's really crushing it. So what are you doing to get that type of social media engagement, which is very hard? Because I know people that are spending thousands of dollars per month and to just get a few extra likes and a few extra followers are just wasting tons of money to try and grow a following. So what are you doing?
Honestly, obviously the content has to be good. And it was actually interesting by default because we're, preaching eat whole foods. That's all we're preaching. Just eat healthy food and, stop till you're satisfied, not till you're full, the 4 principles. That's controversial, funny enough, to a lot of people.
Crazy.
Because they're like, what about keto? What about intermittent fasting? And you have all those fads. So by default, controversy usually gets acknowledgement. It gets eyes on your page. But aside from that, I think the biggest thing, as mushy as it sounds, but it's so true, it's just the amount of work I put into engaging with everybody. So whether that's doing lives every day or answering all the comments or answering my DMs or, whatever it may be, that's what caught on. And that's how the organic growth came to be, because people started to realize, oh, this guy's giving away free information and he's, gonna help me. If I DM him, I'm gonna, get an answer from him eventually, whether it may take a week or not. I honestly think a lot of it was word of mouth, because I sometimes get a message saying, oh, someone mentioned you on their story, and I might gain a couple followers from there. So it's just the integrity of it and just the networking, the integrity, but again, just like the engagement with everybody. And I think that's what a lot of people forget. They just kind of post something and they hope that people follow them because they post it and it was good content.
Yeah.
That's cool and all, but if you don't show that you care about your following, whether it's 100 people or 100,000 people, no one's going to follow you. No one's going to care about what you have to say. So I think that's my biggest thing. It was just really just engaging with everybody. And it takes a lot out of you. There's days where I'm like, my eyes want to burn because of how much I'm on it. But, the least I can do for you taking the time to follow me and engage with my stuff is to help you in some way, shape, or form by answering a DM or a comment, whatever it is.
And how much time per day are you actively engaged on your Instagram account growing it?
It's gotta be, I mean, probably close to 4 or 5 hours a day, like almost way too much on social media. But yeah, it's gotta be at least 4 or 5 hours just on my phone, whether it's answering a comment, on my stories, making a post, so much things go to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's clear that a lot of work goes into it. Your posts are stylized, right? So you're doing all the design for your posts, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're doing all that. Now, do you use Gary Vee, he's probably one of the more famous social media influencers. And what that means is Gary is more, he's trying to influence, individuals like you, or really all of us who are out there trying to grow followings. He's not so much trying to influence regular people that are just kind of looking for inspiration. He's trying to, influence the social media entrepreneurs, if you will. And that's my term, not that Gary explicitly had said that. Do you find, I've seen some stuff. I'm sometimes critical of what Gary does in some ways, because I don't believe it's applicable to everyone all the time. That's a whole nother conversation. But some things he says, I mean, he has great merit, so I'm not, discounting it. I'm sure, we can all, discount whomever. But he says, like, hey, like whatever hashtag you want to follow, you click on that hashtag, you find the 10 top accounts, you go into those accounts, you leave a comment into all those accounts, you hit a bunch of likes, you like some things, you start engaging in other people's accounts. There you go, some background noise. So do you like follow Gary or anybody else like that? And do you take any of those best practices, if you will, and employ them into what you're doing? Or is it just straight you engage?
So I think Gary is an absolute, for me personally, he's awesome. He's genius.
Yeah.
And I love his attitude of just everything about business and entrepreneurship. That being said, though, so I never really did. I know that I think was called the 10 cents or 2 cents or whatever, something along those lines.
Yeah, I forgot
I think when that came out 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, that was perfect. It was just all about engaging. However, now that can be labeled as spam activity from Instagram, at least from what I understand, from what no one really knows how the algorithm works. People pretend they do and they sell a product based on it.
Well, if I jump in for 1 second, I got to say that this happens to my account. And people come in and they leave these like, oh, like, great content, love this advice. Like they leave kind of a generic statement that's peripherally associated with what my post might be. Yeah. And I look at it and I say, well, this isn't someone who's really engaging. They're just trying to scrape followers. And that makes me, and sometimes there are people I know or I know of, and I'm like, dude, like really, like if you're going to engage, like Chris and Heidi Powell, if you guys know who they are. Chris Powell was the host of Extreme Makeover, I think, ABC's like extreme weight loss television show. And I became good friends with Chris and also his wife, Heidi, and they have a massive fitness empire. We engage on each other's accounts the way that I would with you guys. Like, oh man, Chris, like those fucking, like fire, like Jesus Christ, you're making me feel bad. Like I ain't taking my shirt off for any, or just stuff like that. And we may or may not, gain followers that way, but it's through true engagement, I think, which is kind of what you do. It's that true engagement where I don't just leave a post saying like, oh, nice biceps, Chris, or something like that, something very similar. So sorry, because I've seen it come onto my account and it's like, man, you're just scraping followers right now. And a lot of times I'll just delete them. I'll just wipe it off my page because it's not contributing.
Yeah. And I would even notice, not so much anymore because I've been more conservative with it, but way back when I wasn't really doing the Gary Vee thing for too long, but I kind of started doing something along those lines. You get very, like Instagram will, at least from my experience, is anecdotal, may or may not be true. Yep. They will label you as spam and you will not get any exposure because they don't know if you're a robot. They don't know if you're a real person, whatever it may be. And Instagram now is not the way it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, it was just, now it's all about business and influence. And why do you think we have all these ads? And they're $1 billion industry now, right? Because of just everyone's paying for ads to get exposure. So to answer the question, I never really did the Gary Vee thing for too long. I think it has to be updated. And going to what you're saying, I get that too, where people just will comment, be like, oh, great post, follow my page for more fitness tips. Yep. I'm like, hey, whatever, like, yeah, sure, cool. Like, I don't like get offended by it because you know what? They're just trying, they're they're humbly trying to gain some following, whatever. But if anyone's listening to this that wants to gain a following, that is not the way to do it, because that is not an organic way. You might get one follower out of that, but most people would probably look at you and almost not like you because you did that. It seems slimy. So the best way is just the hashtags. Make sure you have a good set of hashtags, engage, and just let it. It's a slow process. Let me tell you, it is slow as anything, but it happens, and you'll get there eventually for people listening.
I'm a slow process, but you've been engaged in this for a year and a half, roughly, a little bit over a year and a half, and you're up to 80,000 followers. There's people who've been on Instagram since its inception, and they don't have 8,000 followers. Yeah. So, I mean, it's all relative. Now, that was awesome stuff, but I want to jump over to Derek. Derek, what's up, brother? What are you doing?
Not much. Just got done with the massage.
Giving one or getting one?
Yeah, I've never given one.
Nice, man. Nice. So where you
at? St. Paul right now.
Nice. St. Paul, Minnesota? Home?
Yeah, all over Minnesota. So we've been north, south, everywhere.
Any hunting in lately?
Every weekend.
Every weekend. What are you getting?
It's fill the freezer time. So we're looking for just whitetails and then grouse right now.
And are you a bow hunter? Are you okay?
Yes. Yeah, and then my girlfriend's hunting too with me this year too, so we have some extra tags.
Oh wow! And are there limits? Are there tag limits?
We'll probably shoot 4 or 5 this year, and then we'll live off of that for our meat pretty much the rest of the year. So try to kill everything we can. Then we'll do some random steak nights, but for the most part, it's all venison.
So venison. So you get, let's say, 4 to 5 per season.
Yep. Yeah, and that'll last about a full year.
How many pounds of meat? A couple 100 pounds?
No. Off of a whitetail, you usually get about 60 pounds on a big one. So they're not huge, not like elk terms, but.
Gotcha. And then obviously you have to do all the field dressing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Field dressing, then you take it to a processing.
That's half the fun.
What? Not the fun?
No, that is the fun. So we can make our burger meat, our jerky, everything's out of that stuff. So.
Okay. So when you do it, and then for those, so I've never actually hunted and killed. Now I've spent, weeks actually out in the bush, kind of, growing up in Jersey. It's not a hunting culture per se. Firearms are like, it's an ultra blue state. Got good things, got bad things, whatever. Didn't grow up in the culture. And that's a regret of mine, but I did grow up on fishing boats. So I grew up as a fisherman. Not quite the same as hunting, but at the same time it is, because I go out for like 3-day tuna trips, 60 miles offshore. And that's a whole nother fucking world where storms, like you're there, right? So it's a little bit different, pulling fucking tuna and whatnot out. But I've never actually gone hunting. One day I will, just, I don't know if I'll like it. I don't know, truly. But I'm working myself into, and I would probably start with a rifle before I started with a bow, simply because I'm more proficient with the rifle right now than I am with a bow. And I wouldn't dare take a shot without high level of expertise, to be respectful. But that being said, how long have you been doing it? Because we spoke about it a bunch of times. This is just totally normal. It's like playing basketball in New Jersey, right? Playing soccer. It's like you just go out. That's what you do this time of year.
Yep. I was shooting guns when I was 3, so.
Okay, I was fishing. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you when, so. But yeah, since birth, I guess.
Okay.
But that's always been in our family, so whether my mom's side, my dad's side, both of it, they all hunted, fished, everything. So sometimes the food wasn't always cooked the healthiest way, but
of course, but
everything was usually always killed by us. Now it's a lot better. Now it's very, not basic, but I like just the meat now. So we do that pretty much every night. We do some sort of steak, and we tried to grow veggies this year, but we suck at growing stuff. So,
okay.
That all died.
And so the fact that you're getting access to wild caught meats and you're living on that year round, well, that puts you at such a huge advantage. And, we talk all the time. I battle with the carnivores all the time. I battle with the vegans all the time. So like it was, I think Dan was saying that, our principles are rather controversial. in that we talk about just kind of eating whole foods and wide variety, natural, local, organic. You know, we have these conversations, and that has become controversial because you get the carnivores that are saying, hey, only eat meat. And you got these guys that are peeling their buns off of Wendy's burgers, right? And they're eating that with bacon, like four patties or like a pound of Wendy's beef, right? That's not what we're talking about. When we talk about that, we're talking about what you're doing is you're going out, you're getting wild caught game, you're stuffing your freezer with that. And that's what you're living on year round. So the benefit of that as compared to like a conventional grocery store liver, and in many ways, now I'm lucky that I have some friends who gift us game throughout the year. So we probably get about 100 pounds of wild game throughout the year, which is just a huge blessing for someone who hasn't actively hunted, right? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. How cool. I mean, it's just so cool, man. And big, shout out to the Johnny and Jen Rivet up there in Canada, who are just amazing. For every year, they give us like 20 to 40 pounds, which is fucking phenomenal. But anyway, so with you, that becomes a normal part of your life. How do you navigate like the rest of your life? Because you are a DOLCE Diet certified coach, and one of our top coaches. I mean, you bring in a ton of business. You're very active. You're also a former competitive mixed martial arts competitor, or mixed martial artist. You're a personal trainer / strength coach. I mean, you run lots of different aspects to your business. Everyone here kind of spoke a little bit about what they do and how they differentiate their business. So a little bit about what you're doing right now professionally.
Most of everything that we do is all mobile. So my car is all decked out in our gym. So we've contracted with a few gyms around the St. Paul, Minneapolis area if we need to use them. Otherwise, everything we do is eliminate the overhead, and we specify it in a certain clientele base. Okay. So it's all mobile at-home stuff. So that makes it really, really, really easy. Other than gas mileage, that's really where our focus is right now. Is we're just building a house-to-house. Hiring out trainers so I don't have to train as many people at the same time. Yep. I actually prefer helping with nutrition work as opposed to just one-on-one hourly stuff. Yeah. So I am gearing more of my stuff that way and actually pawning off a lot of our clients and actually training in more trainers now. So that's really where all of our focus is right now. And it's pretty simple. That's about it. So.
And who's in the business with you?
I've got one of my business partners. He's also down here too. He's very much more bodybuilder-esque. Yep. I'm not saying we agree on everything together, but it actually works out because we can have healthy conversations on left or right or black and white, whatever it might be. Yep. So it actually works really, really well. Plus, it gives some of our clients different viewpoints on stuff. I'm obviously I start people a lot more. Quit counting your calories. We're just switching your food sources and where we're getting it. And he obviously, being a bodybuilder, comes from the world of counting. This is what you get today. I mean, I've kind of broke him.
Oh, froze out there.
So
there you go.
There we go. So I've kind of switched a lot of people more into just the whole foods base approach to everything. And then obviously you can take your steps and go down the line. And then if they have a specific goal, if it's a weight cut or if it's a bikini season, whatever it might be, you can always tighten things up.
Awesome. Good stuff. Now, Kenny, I want to jump over to you for a minute. So you right now, you're very interesting from where you started to what you're currently doing. Right. So and I think you're probably our longest running DDC because what year did you come through the system?
December of 2015, I believe, because it was shortly after I moved to Colorado, and I got here in August, and I want to say it was, like November, December, somewhere around there. It was right before the new year because I went to an on-it certification a week later, but I remembered it was the new year. So it was somewhere around that time frame.
Yeah, I remember. And you came in guns blaring, and you were a personal trainer, like a NASM personal trainer, had just gotten your NASM at that point, or were about to?
Yeah, just got it.
So you just got your NASM at that point. You come through to our certification. You go to the on-it certification. And now we fast forward a few years, and tell everybody what you're doing right now.
I mean, my main focus, I'm in school full time. So I graduate in May. I'll have my bachelor's of science in human nutrition. So, it's like I had already been following you in the Dolce diet for a couple years prior to coming out to Colorado. So kind of getting that cert was like the next stepping stone. And,
Yep.
training clients and doing the nutrition work for like a year or two, I just kind of quickly realized that there was obviously a greater emphasis and need for proper nutrition education and counseling. So I kind of just took a step back and had to kind of ask myself, what were the long-term goals if I wanted to keep grinding nonstop and building the business and not necessarily having the credentials for me to ever be able to go out on my own.
Yep.
Or to take a minor step back on the business side of things and, pursue that higher education. So obviously I chose the latter, and the last 2 years almost now of being back in school has been, it was challenging. I think the first 8 months or so was the hardest because I'd been out of school for like 7 years, and, having to learn how to be a student again and prioritize your life and homework and tests and quizzes, and then balancing all that on top of your personal life and other hobbies and things you want to do. And I'm still, I still work with clients, albeit I am much more particular on who gets my time and who I'll work with. I'm sure everyone in this video chat can attest that, you get a lot of people that want that change and they're willing to even pay for it. But then when it comes down to putting in the work or the follow through, we see progress for the first 2-3 weeks. And then, more or less the next shiny thing catches a lot of people's attention and they start teetering off. And, that's hard for us, I think, as coaches, trainers, counselors, whatever you want to, title yourself as, because we all put an emotional stake into what we're doing. Not only do we care about their success and, them overall improving their health and their wellness, but we're also investing a lot of time. It's not just the time that we're talking to you. It's, let's talk, programming new workouts or the next meal plan, or, helping these people overcome, an obstacle because they're going to be out of town for a week. Where should I go to eat? And then when you put in that much time, then it just kind of gets pushed back. It's a little demoralizing. So I've just kind of taken a short step back and I've really just been focusing on school and, finishing out this next semester and a half or so I can graduate and going to slowly build back up to what I was doing before.
So you graduate May of next year?
Yep. May 15th, I believe, is our graduation date. So
and then
counting down the days.
I bet. And you've gotten married in this period of time, and you've bought a house in this period of time.
Yeah, man.
Language. That's a lot of stuff, man.
2019 has been a real wild year for me, for sure. Yeah, it's bought the house and got married within like a 3-month time frame of each other, and it's been a trip. All good things, obviously, all good stresses, but definitely life picked up and moved pretty quick. And it's a testament, I think, to just being a good person, doing the things you should and shouldn't be doing. And it's taken for me, I just turned 30, and it's taken me a while to figure out what I really was actually passionate about and what I actually wanted to invest my time in. And it's pretty wild that, like, once I honed in on that and like figured out where I wanted to put my time, I mean, I'm exponential. Like, the growth in my life has been exponential over the last 5 years since coming to Colorado. And it's kind of a wild trip to like look back and just see how far I've come.
Yeah. And it's funny because I knew you, and it's beautiful that I knew you before this, like, and we would talk when you were like contemplating making the move, and then you decided to make the move, then you moved up to Colorado and you started working with Professor Ludwig at Ludwig Martial Arts, and like you started that process. And then you were always like, one thing that stood out about you is you were always like, all right, I've done this now, what's next? Like, there was always more, and you were constantly pursuing education. You were constantly evolving. You were constantly getting higher levels of certification. It's like, you were looking, all right, I got a NASM. All right, I got this. What's next? Then you got our nutrition cert. It was like, okay, what's next? Then you went and got the unconventional training cert. Okay, what's next? And you constantly, as I saw it, here's a guy who just keeps adding new tools to his belt, keeps putting new tools on his belt. You keep moving forward, and you've always been service oriented. So you've always been helping people. All of your motivation has been to help people through your passion, which is health, fitness, martial arts, training, and just all those other great things, which is, I mean, it's phenomenal. Now, one thing I do want to add is that you're at the point now that you've actually started working for the company, not just as a DDC. And I like to say as DDCs, as everybody here are certified coaches, that you work along with the company. And in many ways, our company works for you guys. But now Kenny's evolved to the point now through his education and moving deeper towards a registered dietitian's license, that he's actually started working alongside Meg, our lead dietitian, to help craft and administer meal plans on behalf of the company for other people. Sometimes you're now crafting meal plans for some of the other DDCs or the organic clients that come through our company, that you're now becoming an integral part of that, which is so fucking cool.
Yeah, man, that was a real honor. And again, I thank you and Meg for thinking of me in that position, because, that's honestly been a piece of the long-term goal, is to eventually get that RDN and, to be able to be a deeper piece to the company, and, the long term, it's always thought it'd be pretty cool to be able to work with athletes. And, you begin to work with the general public and athletes alike and start realizing, there's actually a much greater service, to working with our everyday clients, if you will. Particularly most athletes, they know how to be healthy. They know how to exercise. It's when you can take your blue collar worker, the person off the street, and kind of actually sit down and educate them and help them and walk them through this lifestyle change that for so many people, while we think it might not be the most drastic change, when you look at what they're doing on the day to day, and it's just like, you can see the head explosions. So it's really, really rewarding to get to sit down and talk to a family and watch their progress that's happened over the last 8 weeks, and then them be totally, transformed. I think I talked to you a little bit about this in one of your YouTube videos a month or two ago, but my last clients that I worked with were a family of 2, and they have a family of 3 really. But the plan was for the husband, and the wife wanted to follow along, and they were wanting some snack, ideas for their son. But, they both over the 8 weeks lost, 12, little over 10 pounds. But man, they saved like $2,500 in 8 weeks, because they were so conditioned to just going out to eat for 90% of their meals, minus breakfast. And that's, I think, what we see happening like across the board for most families is, we've kind of created this society where people aren't becoming accountable and dependent on themselves for their food, which I know you preach about this a lot. And, people get into the kitchen and they're lost. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to start. Which is why I'm such a big advocate for our plans, because you literally, you get a blueprint. This is what you need to do. Just follow these recipes. And I think it's more important because it just teaches people how to have structure and how to become accountable on themselves. And, it's really cool. Like I get to talk, and I'm still talking to them every day. And it's like, hey, all that money we saved on our meal plan means we're taking a really big family vacation at the beginning of the year. That's awesome. Family time. It's so cool.
And they're going to have the level of fitness and health to enjoy a family vacation, which is rare. It's my brother-in-law's in Disney World right now, and he called us up on I think it's a 5 or 6 day trip. He called us on day 4, and he's like, guys, I'm in the happiest place on earth, and I'm so sad to see these people walking around and just the level of obesity. And he's like, he could be in better shape through his words, but he looks around and sees how sad it is to see what's going on, and most of it is self-inflicted. So I want to ask the group now, and I kind of have a little bit of fun here, and let's be as concise as possible. So maybe a minute or 2 at most. What is if you could just pull one of the many, what is your most satisfying interaction with one of your clients, and you saw the biggest benefit? And I'll start with Stacy. So pull a story from someone that you've worked with that you're just so proud of, and whatever that might be.
Sure. I have to say 2 super fast. One of them, Emmanuel Sanchez, my boyfriend. If you look at him, from his original weight cuts, he was only eating literally cucumbers and tomatoes. And even if you look at his weight cuts where he made it, and then you look at him for his last 4 fights, it's entirely different body composition. So
he looks amazing.
That's my biggest thing. I do every single one of his weight cuts now, and that's my biggest thing. But my most exciting one is actually my sister. I have a sister who I have 4 sisters, but one of them used to be, I won't say her original weight, but what I can say is she's lost 170 pounds.
Wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, 170. Wait, maybe 100. Yeah, no, 170 right now. She's smaller than she was in high school. She's 2 years older than me, so she's 32. I mean, you look at her and it's not even looking even just in a picture that she takes, even her selfies, it's not just about the picture and the change in her physical look, because I feel that too. I was obese as well. But it's looking at her and seeing an entirely different side of who she is again, something that I hadn't seen for a really long time as her sister.
Yeah.
It's like totally back with a vengeance. It's like she just radiates so much more happiness and so much more joy. And I don't even know if she knows it. So hopefully she watches this, but like it's amazing to see an entire, and she makes these comments like people are just going to be like, yeah, she's still fat though. 170 pounds, y'all. Like,
wow,
it's insane.
That is insane. That is incredible. And I think you hit a good point that a lot of people, they focus on like, oh, getting ripped and getting shredded and winning world titles or fights, or more of the cosmetic. And I say that's much more of a narcissistic goal set. And that's fine, because we appeal to the narcissism as the Trojan horse to get people to start to feel better and live longer and be healthier. And that, it sounds like, what your sister has gone through on this journey. She looks amazing now. She made dramatic progress, but she exudes that health. She exudes that positive energy that prior to that she likely wasn't. And that's very difficult to do, because most people, when they're obese or morbidly obese, when they're at a less healthy version, or they're at a less healthy version or a point in their life, they know it. They know they're not doing the right things. And there is a lack of confidence. And I say self-loathing. They walk around with this level of self-loathing that interferes with all of their other relationships and all of their other activities, whether it's work, whether it's romance, whether it's, being a parent or being a child, a community member. They have that in their life, and it's depressing in many ways for them. That's awesome, Stacy. So Dan, how about you? What type of what are you most proud of with any of your clients?
Without saying names, but one of them, I think there was a really big, she lost a lot of weight, but there was a big emotional shift that was really, really cool to see. She was actually a client at, there's a client at a gym I was working at a couple years ago. And I think just the confidence difference was, yeah, she lost weight, and the tangible number was really cool, but to actually just instill, continuing to this day, see the different confidence level of just a new lifestyle. And sometimes she'll just message me randomly like, hey, hit a PR today, hit a PR on my bench press today. I'm like, that's super cool, because 3 years ago that wasn't going to happen. Like, you were just such a different shift and mentality, which leads you to so many different things in life, which I think that was the coolest thing. And then I'll just say another one too, obviously, basically saying her sister, I'll say my mom, just because her physical transformation was just like, she was the person to try everything and nothing was working. And I said, okay, well, you literally have a coach as the son. I'm here for free. Like, like
my world
live
too,
with
brother.
me, like we can do this. And her, like, I remember I have a before and after. It's just like complete night and day. So those would be the two for sure. One was more mental and emotional. One is physical.
Okay. That's awesome. Awesome.
Oh, I lied. Sorry. My sister's 150. Sorry.
lost 150?
150. Yes.
Wow.
She lost 150.
And I'm over here being proud of myself because I lost 112. Right?
I'm like, I lost 40.
Jeez, that is absolutely incredible. And then Derek, what about you, buddy?
Well, I would say a couple fighters that were way overweight, but I don't want to name favorites, so I'm going to leave them alone. But actually, my everyday clients, this year we had two different of our just normal clients. One was a surgeon. He was actually in rough shape. He ended up losing about 50 pounds in this last year, mostly all just based off food.
Oh.
And then we had another doctor, same thing, made their jobs way easier. They're leaning over tables, their guts getting in the way. So those ones are definitely my best. And I did everything with one-on-one sessions, personal training sessions, to their nutrition for the full year. The funny thing is, though, is I don't know how, like Stacy, you, for example, you guys get family to do stuff. My family won't listen to a word I say.
Yeah, mine neither, man. Mine neither. Don't worry.
I'm
Yeah.
just there for support. I did say there's 4 sisters, and I only mentioned one. So
25%,
I'm just
but-
there when they're ready.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely my biggest ones is those people also affect everybody else's life. They're doing spinal injections and cutting everyone open. So like, if I can make that better,
Yep.
my job's done.
So, and what I want to actually, let's touch on that a little bit more. So your 2 biggest successes were medical doctors, and most people listening to this, they need to understand that you're not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't hold a PhD, nor does anybody in this conference call. Kenny might eventually become a PhD because he's going to get summer of next year. Kenny Schaefer's going to get fucking bored and say, okay, now what?
Nah.
And then he's going to be Dr. Kenny Schaefer, which would be awesome. But that being said, so you're working with medical doctors, and their job is to keep people healthy, right? And we get medical doctors who actually come through our DDC, and they all, I say, why, in the beginning, I say, okay, what do you do now? What are your plans moving forward as a result of being here? And every doctor who's ever come through says, I realized during my practice, I was woefully undereducated with regards to nutrition, and now I'm trying to figure it out. I went through, 6 or 8 years or more going through all the schooling necessary to become the doctor of whatever specialty they might be in. And they didn't learn much more than 4 hours in totality of nutrition. And they realize what that plays. So you as a nutrition coach, like, do you find that to be interesting or funny or comical? Or did you have conversations with these doctors of like, you're doctors and you're coming to me to change your life and to improve your health?
Yeah. So honestly, I always have to explain to people too, like doctors are doctors. They're not nutritionists or registered dietitians. They're nothing other than someone that's going to tell you your problem and how to fix it physically.
Yeah.
But what I've realized after talking to a lot of them is the ones that we work with they're very good at what they do.
Sure.
So they put so much time into getting that degree, into getting that job where they're at. I usually tell people there's really no excuse to not work out, but a few of them, they are in school for 6 hours a day and they're working another 8. They have a family at home. I try to get them to walk, do whatever, but they're also there in their positions because they literally put 100% of their life into that spot. So now they want to get better personally. Yep. And so for them, now they're putting 100% into me. And so I guess that's why it ends up being a little bit more rewarding because they literally give me their whole life and they say, here, you write it up. And these people are some of the best at what they do in the world. So it's kind of cool when you think about it, but
it's amazing actually. And it's a great testament to them and to their ego or lack thereof that they are willing to go outside of their own wheelhouse and find another expert in a field that they're not proficient. Because obviously you were able to step in and help change their life and in many ways save their life because we all understand the long-term effects of poor health, of being overweight or obese, and the medical conditions that manifest as a result of that. And I'm sure that they were well aware also, it wasn't just job performance, get rid of the belly so I can do my job better. It's get rid of the belly so I can live longer and have a higher state of utility during those extra years.
Yeah, and I know a couple of them actually, they had their wives, they had cancer, they have kids. Someone that's close to them, when their life kind of flashes before their eyes and they realize that the rest of this would all be on them if that person leaves, they kind of aren't forced to, but they're definitely going to want to be around for their kids in case one of the other people are not going to be there. So I know 2 of them, they actually got in touch with us just because of that case, because they had to go watch chemo and they had to watch all these different things go on. And not even necessarily that was nutrition related from that aspect, but they kind of take a deeper dive into their own life and start from square one, which is usually how can I prolong this? And it's going to be food. So
food is it. All right. And then awesome. Derek, now Kenny, I know we kind of started with you, but then let's finish with you here. Name, 1 or 2 as, concisely as you can of your success stories without naming names. You don't want to put anyone on blast, even though, they deserve some credentials here or kudos. but I know you've had tons of transformations that you've worked with. You've shared many with us already, but who just jumps out in your mind?
The family I just mentioned has definitely been one of those ones that really kind of hit me in the feels. And, we've had a really close relationship build over these. I mean, I knew them prior because their son trains at Ludwig's and he was in our little kids program.
Yep.
So when they finally contacted me and asked me for some nutrition help, and that was really cool. And then, over the 8 weeks of us talking, what have you, and the money they saved, the weight they lost, and they really just truly were able to embrace that lifestyle and make a true change across the board for their family. So they're definitely one of them. And then my buddy Chad Delanista, he was one of my first clients after getting my certification, and he lost
Chad. Yeah.
almost 20 pounds or so when he followed his first plan. But he's stuck with the principles. He's training BMT down in Tampa now, and him and his wife and his 2 kids they're just awesome people. And he's continually just knocking away unfunctional body fat, and he looks great. He's in awesome shape, and I think he's a great representation of what we try to do. And I love that guy. And he's definitely one of those ones that stands out for me.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And he's still living the lifestyle now, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he meal preps all the time. He's on the go quite a bit. He works with Geico, so he's always on the go and always has his food prepped and ready to go. And they eat a very organic, clean, nutrient dense lifestyle, man. And they pass that along to their kids, and they don't feed them all the bullshit food that we see so many unfortunate other families doing. And I think they're becoming leaders in their own community, whether they realize it or not.
Beautiful. Now, I know we're just here on an hour of the show, which is great. This was an introduction. We're going to do more of these. We're going to do topics. So really a big part of this, having this show right now and getting you guys on here, was to test the new software that we have to make sure this was even capable. So I think we've successfully done this. I won't know until actually we log off and I save the file and make sure that we can see and hear everybody. So hopefully, right. Otherwise it was just a good chat for us to have. But again, we're going to do more shows in the future, which will probably be more topic specific. We'll have 2 or 3 topics. We'll get on here, and in an hour, let's say, maybe it'll just be 3, like me plus 2 of you, or maybe a much larger group. And we'll just go through, not quite a debate, but a more of a robust discussion from everyone's background. I think that'll be fun for everybody to be involved, right? That'll be a good time. But so to end the show now, what I just simply want to offer is give you guys a minute or so to just tell everyone where you are, where they can find you, and any little parting words for anyone who's looking for something. Maybe you want to give something inspirational, or maybe it's just, what your DM is on Instagram, and they can find you and go from there. So if anybody listening right now or watching right now wants to work with any of our Dolce Diet certified coaches, this is a group right now, 4 of our top coaches. We have 300 DDCs around the world, Dolce Diet certified coaches around the world. These 4 right here are 4 of our top coaches, which is amazing. Obviously, hearing you guys talk, the passion you have, what your skill sets are, I think that greatly, shows your ability to help people. Now, let's just share a little bit of where they can find you and a little party word. So, Stacy, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Stacy. I am a Texan up in Milwaukee right now, training at Rufus Sport. I fully understand everything that anybody is going through, being a person who was diagnosed with hemihypertrophy, a disability whenever I finally got the diagnosis at 15. I've had surgeries, I've had femur shortening stuff, I have lymphedema. So, I've gone through disability, I've gone through obesity, I've been in a state of literally unable to do everything. I now have 8 years of therapy experience, sports performance, fitness, nutrition, Dolce Diet coach. I will help you with whatever you need because, I love this shit. This is what I do. This is what I'm here for. You can follow me. I'm just Stacy Blythe, StaciBlythe. Anywhere you want to look for me. I'm also Unparalleled Greatness, and I have the dog bows, but that's kind of irrelevant to this situation. I'm a nice person, so say hi.
Awesome, Stacy. And I'm actually going to pick up some of those dog bows. Zoe would absolutely love them. We love her.
Oh, I'm sending you some. Don't you worry. I already asked Brandy for your address.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Nice.
Sweet. There we go. All right. Dan, brother, go ahead.
As far as finding me, my Instagram would be the best way to get a hold of me. You can find me. It's called Dan Cood. So DANCUD. DES. Pretty much same thing. I've been through, as far as weight loss goes, my record, I was 187, 5'2". I was currently a whale at that time.
Wow.
You could probably roll me over and not get me up. So as far, oh, it's good times. Yeah, like as far as weight loss goes, fat loss goes, performance goes, there's so much crap out there. We live in a really, really, no pun intended, shitty kind of time where everything is just so much information's out there and a lot of it's shit. But if you like, as far as the principles go and the things that work, if you ever need to get a hold of, and much like Stacy and all the other coaches on here as well, get a hold of any of us, and we're going to be there to tell you exactly what you need to be doing. So that's my parting words there.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, very similar. I've worked with clients basically in all aspects of life at this point, and I'm always eager to sit down and talk to people and do what I can to help. My Instagram is Coach Kenny89. I changed that recently. You can find me on Facebook. It's OHFIT. And then I have a YouTube channel as well that I'm not as active on as I would like to be, but kind of teaching people how to cook all of our recipes. And they're usually, 7 to 12 minute videos where I just kind of walk you step by step on how to cook food. So if you're not comfortable in the kitchen, that could be a solid resource for you. But if you hit my Instagram, it's a blend of my personal life and professional life and anything that I do in between. So like I said, if you have questions, shoot me a DM or a text message, an email. All my stuff's on there. I'm always willing to work with people.
Awesome.
I got intervene on that. I used to watch Kenny's YouTube channel a lot back when I first started. It was an awesome channel. So definitely go take a look at that.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
The YouTube channel, it's still under OFIT, right?
No, the Instagram, I changed my handle to Coach Kenny89.
And your YouTube channel is
OFIT.
OFIT, right on. Awesome. And then Derek?
Well, for one, getting a hold of me right now is a little tougher because I'm doing like a little social media cleanse. So I don't have Instagram, Twitter, literally nothing right now. I got rid of everything.
All right.
So I do have Facebook just because my mom sets up events there and I shouldn't.
Good boy.
So that's the one that's still hanging around. But I will get Instagram back in the future. Otherwise, email, just first name dot last name, derek.varon@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you're in the Minneapolis area, it's just call 218-244-5785. Everyone can have my number. Don't care.
Oh boy.
I know.
Brave.
That's brave. I know. I'm going to start sending you some creepy photos.
It's nothing I haven't seen before. I grew up in a gym. But, otherwise, as far as like what we do, sports performance, weight loss, literally everything. I played football at 215. I fought at 153. So weight loss, weight gain, just starting or been doing it for years. If I can't do it, we definitely have someone that can. So once I get social media stuff back, because it is a little harder these days without it, I will let everybody know. But otherwise, I'm not that hard to get a hold of. So, yeah,
awesome.
So that's us.
So, Derek, you're in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis area, yeah. Yep, all of Minnesota, really.
All Minnesota. And Kenny, you're in the Denver, Colorado area.
Yep.
And Stacy, you're in...
I'm in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, right? And then Dan, you are?
Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, Canada. There we go. All right. Well represented. Well, everyone listening and watching, thank you guys so much for being a part of it. I hope you appreciate this. This podcast will be on everywhere audio. So it'll be on iTunes. It'll be on Google Play. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on Stitcher. It'll be everywhere you get your podcast. This podcast will also be. And also it will be on our YouTube channel, which is now growing. So if you have not yet, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click on that little bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you give the video a thumbs up, well, F you. But number 2, tell us why. Leave it in the comment section below. I'm kidding to a degree. But I know, right? I'll take the thumbs down, but I want to know why. And of course, leave comments below. And what do you want to hear the coaches talk about next time? What did you think about this first time? What do you want to hear the coaches talk about next time? Leave comments below, and we will turn that into videos and questions down the road. So we'll be doing much more of these in the future. So those listening, those watching, thank you all for being here. Remember, don't count calories, make calories count. Boom.